Alright folks, how you doing? So in this video I'm going to be talking about how Tyrion Lannister is the true Lannister, and he's the only true Lannister in Game of Thrones. I won't be using footage from the show because I already had to deal with copyright issues this week. I had to take down a video that I worked very hard on because, there was a pending copyright strike if I didn't, so that's annoying, but I'll maybe try and re-upload that video once I remove all the copyright materials, but it's a pain in the ass. I can't really be bothered with it. But the thing is, Jaime and Cersei, it's strongly hinted if you look at the text within A Song of Ice and Fire, if you go through the books, that they are actually Targaryens, such as Cersei using wildfire to burn, in the books, to burn the Tower of the Hand. In the show, she blows up basically the Vatican, the Sept of Baelor. She just blows the whole thing up. And also the obsession with green as well. They're both described as having green eyes and all the rest of it, and there's lots of hints towards fire and wildfire. And also the fact that this is the strongest hint, and it's right in front of your face the whole time. The fact that it's not only permissible, but acceptable for them, as brother and sister to have an incestuous relationship. Well, this is only commonplace within the Targaryen family. This is not commonplace in any of the other great houses of Westeros or Essos or any of the other families. This is never mentioned as far as I'm aware in the whole book series. And there's no other family that does this. So that's the biggest hint, and it's right in front of your face the whole time. And Cersei talks about how she feels complete with Jaime, how they were in the womb together and all the rest of it. I mean, it's obvious that Cersei in particular is pretty much off her rocker. Well, yeah, she's off her rocker because she's the direct descendant from the Mad King. She is his daughter. So, mental illness runs within the Targaryen bloodline due to inbreeding and incestuous relationships. You even see this with Daenerys at the end of the show. The books haven't been completed yet, but how ironic would that be that the two competing queens for the continent are half sisters? Well, that goes back to the whole Blackfire rebellion and the civil war within the Targaryen household. And they talk about when a Targaryen is born, the gods flip a coin. And you notice that Jaime is not insane, but Cersei is. So that's another hint as well, that one of the two Targaryen bastards is absolutely off her fucking rocker, and the other one is, fairly normal and sane. Well, there's a big hint there. When the gods, when the Targaryen is born, the gods flip a coin. So a coin has two sides. There's two of them. They're twins. One is insane and one is not insane. That's a big hint. But the other clue is that if you trace back the Lannister origins, they talk about Lan the Clever and how he was able to swindle Casterly Rock from House Casterly to House Lannister. In fact, Lan the Clever is the progenitor of Clan Lannister. And the thing with Tywin as well is that Tywin is way off base when it comes to the founding values of House Lannister, because he's obsessed with the honour of the house, reputation, all that sort of thing. Whereas if he knew his history, which in the show, he really doesn't. He's slipping a little bit because even Arya Stark knew more about Aegon the Conqueror than he did. This is show only, but it's there. She mentions that Aegon had two sisters who also rode dragons that conquered Harrenhal. Tywin had forgotten that point. Well, there are gaps in his memory. Well, Lan the Clever, we don't really get a description of him. And there's a theory that because King Bran in the show, probably in the books as well, can go back in time, that Tyrion is actually the progenitor of Clan Lannister. Because of, his physical stature and the things, the way that Casterly Rock is taken off of House Casterly, and is given to the Lannisters, is that Lan the Clever was able to sneak through the castle. You think about Tyrion being a dwarf. He's able to sneak in and go through the pipes and hide in places, and what he would do is he would steal things from people and put them in different rooms and all that sort of thing, so he would get all the members of the House Casterly at each other's throats. Well, who does this sound like? This sounds like Tyrion, because Tyrion has his wits. Tyrion is clever. He doesn't have the physical stature of his half siblings who are Targaryen bastards, and that brings me to another point, by the way. I'll get to that in a minute. But the thing is that Tyrion, being a dwarf and being small in stature, he can hide very, very easily compared to normal people. So there is the theory, and I believe this is a correct theory, that the actual progenitor of Clan Lannister is actually Tyrion, who went back in time through the skills of King Bran the Broken. You know, how he was able to develop his skills to the point that he could send people back in time in order to prepare for the Long Night. And one of the ways in which he did that was by founding the Lannister household. Now, the Targaryen genes are recessive. This is another important point. So in the books and in the show, both Cersei and Jaime have the Lannister physical characteristics because they're half Lannisters. They're descended from Joanna Lannister. Now, also in Jon Snow, the Targaryen genes are recessive. He doesn't look like a Targaryen. He doesn't have the purple eyes or the white hair of the Targaryen lineage. Neither do the Lannisters. They have the green eyes and the blonde hair of the Lannisters. That's because the Targaryen genes are recessive. And this is pointed out numerous times in the book and in the show as well. You know, so if you have the Targaryen genetics, they tend to be of the recessive type, so they go into the background. So the other genetics are more prominent. So, you know, it's even mentioned that Jon Snow looks the most like a Stark out of all the Starks, ironically. You know, he has none of the Tully features, or the sort of chestnut brown hair and the blue eyes. That's the Tully genetics. You know, but he has all the Stark genetics from his mother. He has the long face, and he has kind of in the books he has the blue eyes, not brown, and he has the kind of the sort of, you know, Stark hair as well. You know, so he looks the most Stark. That's because, as I've said, the Targaryen genetics are recessive. They fade into the background. So the other house, the other parent, you know, who birthed them, their genetics are more prominent, and this is the case also with Cersei and with Jaime. Their Lannister, you know, physical features are very prominent, but they have none of the Targaryen genetics. They don't show up in their physical features. That's another big hint and another big clue. And also, there is a line of dialogue where one of Tywin's sisters said to Tywin that Tyrion was his true son, whereas Jaime was not, which is another kind of on-the-nose hint that, you know, Jaime and Cersei are in fact Targaryen bastards, not the true-born children of Tywin Lannister. And the biggest irony here is that Tywin loves his bastard children and despises his true-born child. And that leads me to another hint as well. When Tywin dies, it's said that the stink coming from his body is absolutely horrid, to the point that people who regularly deal with, you know, preparing bodies for funerals, I don't know what you call them, even the people who, you know, work in the sept and regularly prepare corpses for burial, you know, make them presentable for their loved ones, even they were astonished at how much the smell was rotten. So even though Tywin projects the strong outer image, in the core of his being, in the core of his soul, he's absolutely rotten. So, you know, he's supporting an illegal, incestuous bastard regime. Whether you believe this theory or not, he's supporting an illegal regime for the sake of pride. You know, whereas the founding characteristic of Lannister was the opposite. The founding father, like I said, the progenitor of Clan Lannister, won it through trickery and deception, not through pride. So he's not even living up to the Lannister values, you know, because Tywin is actually the progenitor. Tyrion, I should say, is actually the progenitor of Clan Lannister. If you look into the hints, through Bran, he was able to go back in time and win the household. You know, the seat of Lannister Casterly Rock. It's not called Lannister Rock because it's not. It's called Casterly Rock because he was able to trick it from the Casterlys and bring it over to House Lannister. So, you know, Tyrion being the physical deformity, he describes himself even in the books when he kills Tywin as Tywin writ small. This is the exact quote, almost, pretty much. You know, I am you writ small. So in other words, all that is rotten within the soul of Tywin is physically manifested in Tyrion. So he is the true-born son of Tywin, and that is literally true. Anyway, let me know what you think of this theory, and thank you for watching.